is reliving the life of Esau, which
I don't know if I
means he has given up his birthright to his younger sister.
probably dogs.
Hey,
Hey,
we went live.
yeah, I just got the notification too. Oh man. So today is a bit of a chill day. And apparently for my dogs, it's teething day. So there's that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm. So I guess we're doing just kind of chill stuff today, talking about things we're working on, things we're studying, life, world,
Yeah.
New
Yeah.
York, falling apart.
Well, so there's a feud going on already between Mom Donnie and Albany, which took all of I think I sent you probably less than 24 hours after the election. Kathy Hochul saying that she is not going to fund all of Zoran's pet projects in New York City.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. The second you sent me that, I was not surprised by anything you
Yeah.
said.
Well, and it's fascinating to me. If you're too far left for Kathy Hochul of all people, you've gone too far. It's time to turn back.
No, the left has just never, not me, not ever, has in recent history, especially, just been very disjointed and has only been getting worse post Biden administration because now they just
Yep.
don't know how to recover.
Yep.
Not that necessarily means that Republicans are all put together, but
Oh no. No,
they're
no,
they're
and
also a mess.
yeah.
But the Democrats have just been more obviously falling apart because it's not even like if you pay attention to Republicans, you can see how they're falling apart in places. The
Yeah.
Democrats, you don't even have to try and look. You just turn on the TV and everything's falling apart.
Yeah. Well, there's this sweeping wave of like kind of alt right that's rising, right? Like your Marjorie Taylor Greene, your Tucker Carlson, your Nick Fuentes, those people.
Nick
Um,
Fuentes, don't get me started.
yeah, no, not a fan of Fuentes here, but
Irritates me so much.
he honestly he putting the politics aside, and truly his politics are despicable, but putting the politics aside, just the energy that he gives off, ain't it, Chief? Like,
Well, for me, it's like there's just some people. I get that not all Christians are the same. I'm never gonna say that they are, but there's some people who on like the extreme right, where like almost like your horseshoe theory you were talking about, where I look at them like,
yeah, yeah,
and it's like I'm not saying I'm not talking about the whole political left and right, but like the extreme on both sides, like the more hardcore right and left people. I'm like, I have a hard time believing you're a Christian either because you're affirming immorality or because your character is like everything that we're told not to do.
exactly.
So I'm not gonna sit here and say you're not a Christian, but I'm definitely like I'm confused.
Right.
Why
Well,
are
and
you
I mean,
saying that you're representing this when you're actually giving it a bad name at the moment?
yeah. Well, and it's most strange uh, to me the way that he like arbiters, I guess, arbitrates who is and is not a Christian based on the relationship that you have to the Jews. Right? Like if you are in any
Yeah.
way philo-Semitic, he's like you can't be a Christian. And I'm like, okay, I don't particularly care about the state of Israel. Right? Like as a country, I have about as much thoughts on it as I do the state of Uruguay. I don't care. Right? The only reason I got defensive about Israel as a nation and in terms of the Hamas Israel conflict is because the the ignorance that it demonstrated with how the war should be seen, which from my perspective was the war should be seen from a perspective of West versus non-West, I guess East, but it's not really East, but you know what I'm trying to say, right? Like Western values versus Islamic values. And to come down on the side of the Islamic values was extremely problematic and troubling to me.
Yeah.
But I don't care necessarily about the Jews having a country. That doesn't. I don't care. If they have a country, great. If they don't, great. I care more about America having a Western ally in the Middle East, regardless of who that is. Um, but more so, B, I care about the Western values that were under attack, and the idea that because war can be a little messy, Israel is a bad guy. It's like, well, hang on. It's crude to say, but you can't make an omelet without breaking eggs, and that's very true,
Yep.
particularly in the context of war. And again, it's crude to say that, but it's necessarily true. It is absolutely and fundamentally true. You have to have that baseline value of the good has to win here, right? Like, and I compared it to World War II, not to say that they were fighting the Nazis, but to give the idea of just war.
Mm-hmm.
Were German civilians killed in World War II? Yes. Is that a good thing? No. But you can't just in war, unfortunately, you can't dodge civilian populations. That's just not possible. Civilians are going to suffer in war, and that is saddening. That is a sad thing, but it is also a true thing. And to pretend like one side is evil because they are attacking targets which are in civilian populations. Here's how I guess I want to frame it. To act like the side that is attacking targets that happen to be in civilian populations, and to compare that with the side that is attacking civilian populations directly and say that those are the same thing, is not accurate. And it's this strange suicidal ideology from the West that I do not understand. Of, oh, these are equal things. We must treat these things equally. No, we don't. They're not equal. They're not the same. I'm sorry, but Western philosophy and Western theology and Western morality is better. It just is. So I'm not going to sit by and pretend that Israel is committing some great atrocity here because they're in war. Sorry, that's just how war works. Not everybody makes it out.
Yeah, it's a sad reality, but it is the reality.
Hmm.
And being aware of those realities, I think sometimes I think people rightly have concern about how war goes. Like we don't want war. We shouldn't be like supporting idea. Like that should not be like our um, initial response. Like just war theory and the idea that it should be like there is no like one the reason for it is just, hence just war, but also like all other options have either been exercised or are not achievable.
Right.
And so um, it's one of those things where as Christians, yes, there's the ideal of no war, but while as Christians we're called to seek out the ideal, we're also are called to recognize the reality.
Right.
We have to recognize the reality of the world around us. In some way, like at even like with like the commands for Israel, the commands, the creation narrative, um, like all these different passages, they like I mentioned this in the Image of God ones. Like Genesis 1, like depicts the ideal of creation by the end, where you have everything's in proper order. Human beings are functioning as the Tselem. They're doing their things. Israel's laws, they're depicted as the ideal of what Israel's supposed to be in comparison to the other nations, and then Christians have the ideal of how they're supposed to be in comparison to everyone else. But and you have the ideal is that we wouldn't be struggling with sin anymore. The ideal is that we would be seeking after God. But you have with like Genesis 2 and onward, and you have with like post laws, and you have with Paul's epistles, whereas like the ideal is there, but the reality is that when you have human beings in the picture, it just doesn't go fully. And some people say, okay, so then God failing in his ideal is like, no, the ideal is the very standard that we're held to.
Right.
The fact that there is an ideal and that we're falling short of it is why Paul says we were falling short. So to say that God failed is like, no, but if you want the, logically speaking, if God wants that love connection, there is an open door for the two people choosing. And therefore, if they choose otherwise, they're choosing a lack of love. Therefore, that will lead to XYZ.
Right. And that's actually something that talked about on the Nefarious stream. I was reviewing that.
Oh, yeah.
Because the demon talks about how evil God is for not allowing the demons to use their free will. Right. That's the initial premise he sets out, and then later he goes on to talk about how God presents free will so that you may choose love. Right, and so he's in effect contradicting himself. Right? He's contradicting the lie that he set out earlier, that God is not allowing the use of free will. It's like, well, no, God does allow the use of free will. He allows love, but he also then therefore allows us to act differently, right? To act in opposition to him. And
Just by definition, that's what
right.
love and trust both entail. Like, the word faith, I mean, you would know it better than I in the ins and outs. I mean, I can even pull it up, but like that word can bring itself to or be used differently with trust. And trust is something that you give to someone. It's something that it's something that you do. In essence, not in the. Although I can hear my Calvinist brothers saying, so faith is a work. Those who go that one direction is like, no, it's the trusting is when you're fully relying on the thing that you're trusting in.
Right.
And the is like, it's not a great picture, but it's like the chair thing. You can't say you trust a chair if you won't sit in it. You can just say it all you want, but if you're not sitting in the chair.
Right.
So it's like, so you're doing the work. It's like, no, I am
The
releasing
action,
all of my work.
Demonstrates the truth of the thing.
It's like, I am releasing all of my efforts onto the chair. I'm letting the chair hold myself up. It's not like I'm leaning forward and putting all my weight on my legs while my behind is barely touching it. It's like, no, that's still not faith. That's like not even in the chair.
Right.
No means my saying that's a perfect analogy, but it gets definitions rolling.
But the action of you sitting in the chair is the proof of your faith in said chair.
Right.
It is not the faith itself.
Yeah. Anyways, you were saying Nick Fuentes. What was it? Nick Fuentes. Someone else. And then that's when I got annoyed.
The Tucker Carlson.
Oh, yeah.
Roger Taylor Green, the rising of the alt-right. And this desire they have. And this is something Ben Shapiro has talked a lot about recently. But this rising movement that is desiring to take from Trump the movement that he started, where they're like, this action that is being done is not MAGA. It's not America first. Meanwhile, it's Trump doing the action. But they won't just come out and say that they disagree with Trump, because they know if they do that, then they're going to lose a certain portion of the political movement that they're trying to overtake.
Right.
So they are very carefully dancing around. Excuse me. Very carefully dancing around how they say things. And you'll notice that they will criticize things that Trump does without actually criticizing Trump for it. It's like, Okay, but we all know what you're doing. You're just not saying the thing so that way you don't get in trouble. And then there's
Ah.
plausible deniability, right? So you can just say, I was just asking questions about it, right? I wasn't accusing Trump of anything. I was just asking questions about some of the things that were going on. It's like, okay, but we all know what you were doing, right? Like,
Yeah.
you just have that plausible deniability now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But something that we kind of wandered into and why I named myself the way that I did with Nigeria Minaj is um, I don't know what that is.
Quick research time. Make sure I'm not.
Yeah, make sure we're not going to talk about something that's
Okay, so unfortunately, the first thing that popped in when I typed that in was a cartoon character from like manga.
okay.
Um, I mean, I don't know anything about that if that's what he's talking about. Um,
Okay. I think he meant Shinjeonji, which I don't really know anything about.
I mean,
Uh,
you have anything specific you're referring to?
I'm thinking it's a cult.
How about this? If you have specifics,
Shincheonji Church of Jesus, the Temple of the Tabernacle of the Testimony, uh, is a new religious movement established in South Korea by Lee Man Hee.
I have not heard of
That
this.
cannot be a real name. Lee
I
Man Hee.
I did not hear about this one.
I have not. It apparently has about 100,000 members, which would
Lovely.
kind of explain why it's pretty small.
Yeah,
Um,
it's okay. I mean, yeah, I don't know anything about this. I have not heard anything about it. I mean, like I said, it's kind of small. So the fact that you heard about it, it's pretty cool that you heard about it because it means like
dude, I just
that's
googled it right now.
well, I mean, it. No, I'm talking about him.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
he's still
Okay, yeah.
because this comment right here, the
Okay,
fact that
so
he knew about this and brought it to our radar is just good to know that
interesting.
there's. We appreciate when you guys bring something in that we don't know about, or it gives us idea of things to talk about. Because I think one time you and I talked about looking
Oh, this
at.
is 100% a cult, dude.
I
This is
mean,
100% a cult. Sorry, it's
no,
just
I mean, you and I talked about at some point doing like an occult
he
thing
called
at some point.
yeah, yeah, sorry, the leader here, Lee Man He, uh, states that he is the advocate in John 14.
Of course, he did.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be
Um,
more willing to look at. Maybe we can do a stream on that sometime. Uh, Prem Kumar, maybe we can do a stream on it sometime. I would just have to do actual research on it. I don't know a ton about it, but I'm just looking at the Wikipedia page and the doctrine section, and it says that he is a messenger sent by Jesus. That's what the group believes, that Lee is a messenger sent by Jesus Christ, and as having the unique ability to interpret the book of Revelation. The group also believes in the times of the fulfillment of the New Testament prophecies, the 144,000 adherents, so it's kind of like Jehovah's Witness in that way, and an innumerable great multitude in white, which comes out of the great tribulation, will enjoy salvation and eternal life, as promised in Revelation 7. However, as senior leaders and executives within the denomination continue dying, doubts regarding the doctrine of physical immortality, which you will not find physical immortality in the scriptures at all. So, yeah,
you
sure
know
thing.
what? The
I'll look
close
into that. I'll do a little research and I'll come up with a more in-depth analysis of it.
could
Thank you for the recommendation.
how about we let's try. How about we do a stream of that later this month?
Yeah, I just gotta
I didn't say
figure out a time to look that up because work's becoming a little busier.
Well, I
So
mean, I can do it. I mean, also I'll have to do it with you. But we could
yeah,
do that, and then I mean, if there probably is enough to talk about with that. But it could probably lend itself to maybe some other similar occult ones,
yeah.
and
But yeah, thank you for the recommendation. That's
we
interesting.
will.
I'll look into it.
So, hold on, I'm gonna take a. I took a screenshot of that just so I can remember to look into that more.
Yeah, yep. And that's kind of like the goal of these streams is to just get ideas and hear what you guys want us to talk about and look into a few things like that.
Also, for us to engage in some conversations that we didn't think warranted a full video,
Yeah,
um, but also could be more conversational. That's something that you and I have mentioned before that we are hoping to change about our
Juggernaut.
presentation is to become less just mere presentation and a little conversational. And now it feels like we have a community discussing here.
Let's
Um,
talk about why God allows accidents where even children face death who are blameless. Okay, yeah, we can talk about a little bit of theodicy if you'd like. Um,
See, when you
so
said
why does
Theodicy, I was in the bookstore, and so I thought I saw the Odyssey. So,
oh
so when you said Theodicy, my brain went there. I was like, oh,
no,
it spelled very
we're
similar.
not going to talk about Homer. Um,
No, I got other
no,
things I'm reading.
I mean, all theodicy essentially boils down to the Book of Job, in my mind. Uh, right? Why does God allow evil things for people who are blameless? Right? Because it's funny you say the word blameless there, uh, Prem Kumar, because that's the exact word that Scripture uses to describe Job. Right? He was upright and blameless, and yet God allows Satan to attack him and take everything from him. So why? Well, there's a couple reasons. One is the one that a lot of people will just kind of throw out there and not think about, and it's the will of the Lord. Right? God may allow something tragic and deeply painful because he can use it for something greater. I think of 9/11. A lot of people asked, how could a good God allow such a thing? 9/11, in many ways, brought an extremely divided country together. And it was striking at the heart of America and the heart of the West in a way that hadn't been done before. And as a result, the country grew stronger, it grew in faith, it grew in unity. And so this deeply awful tragic thing that God never wants, he does he does not want disorder. He does not want chaos. Right? I mean, we have stressed in the past few months the order and design of God and the difficulties that come with the incompatibility of sin with that. The reason that we have stressed that so hard is because of things like this. Is because when we look at the world around us and we see disorder and we see chaos and we see innocent children dying, we can know that it was never God's intention, that he is grieved by it to a greater degree than we are. But he allows for these things to happen because of reasons that we do not understand. Right, that is the entire section. I would say probably my second favorite section of the Bible is Job 38 to 40, where God lays the theological and ontological smackdown on Job. Right, that's the classic, where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Right, of God saying, I am in control here. I know what I'm doing. There are times that you are going to question things and you are not going to understand why things are happening. But as Romans 8 says, all things work together for the good of those who love God, for those who are called according to his purpose. It doesn't say some things, it doesn't say the good things, it says all things. So we have to understand in the moments when it is difficult to trust God because we see so much evil, that God didn't want it, that God is grieved by it, but he allows it. All right, and let's use a little analogy here. I am a father. I will allow my daughter sometimes to do something bad. It's not because I want her to do something bad. It's not because I want her to do evil, and it's not because I'm unjust. It's because there's a bigger purpose in mind. She will learn, and she will be a better person for it. Sometimes God will allow things that we do not understand and that are very difficult for us to comprehend. He will even allow death because it makes us stronger, because it makes us better, because it makes us closer to him. It is very, very difficult. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that it's not. And, well, thank you. I really appreciate that. But I want to stress the fact that God doesn't want these things to happen. Right? Back to why I'm named the way I am. I'm named the way I am because Nicki Minaj actually came out in support of the Christians who are being slaughtered in Nigeria. And I think her statement, I actually want to pull it up. Her statement was beautiful, I think. Well, yeah, while I pull that up, you can.
It's by no means. I would argue it's introductory-esque, but second tier introductory. So I wouldn't say it's like layman level, but it's not super high academic level. It's pretty in the middle, in my opinion. Theodicy of Love by John Peckham. I have grown to really appreciate the more I just kind of think about it, because it takes some things that Caleb was talking about with free will stuff, but he points out that there is an issue that many people have when talking about theodicy, is that we neglect the fact that there's a spiritual world beyond the relationship of humans and Yahweh, and that there are other beings that are in place. When we talk about free will, it's not just the free will of human beings and God, but the free will of spiritual forces that we would sometimes call angels and demons, and the fact that they do some stuff. So he kind of lays out his view on that. But there was just one paragraph that I starred. It says, just because we do not see sufficient reasons why God may permit evils or appears to be hidden, it does not follow that there are no sufficient reasons. Absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. Second, though we only know in part, according to 1 Corinthians 13:12, we can look to the cross as the ultimate manifestation of God's love, which offers sufficient reason to trust that God does everything that can be done for everyone's best good. And he goes on about how, and everything's purely based on Scripture. And he goes on about how there's no clean answer to why things are the way they are, and that's why we have to understand that there are reasons behind it, even we can't comprehend them necessarily. But some reasons it could be in general suffering, not talking about just children specific. It could be judgment. It could be rules of engagement in terms of like Job, where God enters an agreement with a spiritual being. And the question is why? Is because one, it could be for testing, or two, it could be for the most flourishing of love. It could be that in doing this, because God is all-knowing, that there is this brings out the greater good in comparison to the other outcome. His whole point is that there's a lot of reasons to go behind it, but we can't fully ever comprehend on our own why. But to take heart in the fact that the God that we worship came down in flesh and suffered along humanity. Not even just in the fact that he suffered because of sinful humanity, but he took on flesh and died so that way humanity could flourish in love, by grace through faith. So I don't know if I ran off to get this book just so I could show it. It's not long. It is a heavy read, but it's pretty digestible at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, and that really kind of gets to the point that we were making, which is, that just because bad things happen doesn't mean God isn't there or God isn't real. And to kind of highlight that, I wanted to talk about the tweet from Nicki Minaj, which I pulled up an article that has it in there. Um, so it's right here. So Trump's tweet called out the country of Nigeria for allowing Christians to be slaughtered. And this was Nikki's response. She said, "Reading this made me feel a deep sense of gratitude. We live in a country where we can freely worship God. No group should ever be persecuted for practicing their religion. We don't have to share the same beliefs in order for us to respect each other. Numerous countries all around the world are being affected by this horror, and it's dangerous to pretend that we don't notice. Thank you to the president and his team for taking this seriously. God bless every persecuted Christian. Let's remember to lift them up in prayer." I think that is one of the, which is, it's funny to say this about Nicki Minaj. I think that is one of the most beautifully written tweets I've ever read. Truly, it was beautiful. And to get that from her of all people shows that tragedy, right? Like you talked about here, right? Children who die, even though they are blameless, just as Job was blameless, and he suffered tragedy. It brings out the best in people. It also brings out the worst in people, in fairness, but truly, it brings out the best in people. Think about who Nicki Minaj is. Think about the type of person she is and the type of music she makes and the types of things that she says. That person, because of the Christian persecution, excuse me, in Nigeria, because of that persecution of God's people, because of that, you have one of the most popular musicians in the whole world preaching the gospel, essentially, right? Asking for prayer for persecuted Christians. That's what tragedy can do. It's awful that our Christian brothers and sisters in Nigeria are truly suffering. That's awful, and we feel for them. But, as Ecclesiastes says, God brings all things to account. And he may do that in this life by having a Christian post from a non-Christian. At least I don't know that Nicki Minaj is not a Christian. I just, looking at her, knowing her by her fruits, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say she probably isn't a weekly church attendant. Um, but I guess that's not my judgment to make necessarily. I don't know her relationship to the Lord. Maybe it's been getting better. But for her to say what she said, to make such a Christian post, God, that's God bringing to account. And then he also brings it to account in the next life. Right? So when we examine tragedy, like the death of a child, we must remember that God brings that to account. Meaning God will not let injustice be unpunished. And God will not let tragedy go unanswered in this life or the next. I think I kind of rambled a little bit at the end there, but I hope what I said was clear. Right? That tragedy can be a force for good, even if the thing itself is evil. What man has intended for evil, God will use for good. And I don't think there can be a clearer picture of that than the Book of Job or the Musings of Solomon in Ecclesiastes.
Yeah. Yeah. And oh my gosh, my dogs. I just let you out. I'll be back again.
So, Prem Kumar, I hope that answered your question. Uh, I apologize again for kind of rambling at the end there. I was trying to collect my thoughts as I was going. And I wanted to get the bit about Ecclesiastes in there because I think that's also very important. Um, why did God start a conversation about Job with Satan when Satan simply just came with the sons of God? Is it God's intention that Job needs to face tribulation? So that's a question that people often ask, and then they'll be like, why does God make a bet with Satan? God's not making a bet, right? In order to make a bet, you have to not know the outcome. God knows the outcome. God knows what's going to happen. The overall purpose there is more so to say that God allows Satan to attack Job. It's not that God is offering Job up as like a wager or offering Job up as some sort of sacrifice or some sort of like, haha, you can't get him, right? It's more so poetic language to say that God is about to allow Satan to do this, right? God is in full control, right? That's why it has God bringing up Job to show that God is in control of Job's life and God is protecting Job, right? God starts or Job starts with God, right? That's where it has to start. Everything starts with God. And then it is what God allows. What does God allow to happen to Job? So it sets up God as the supreme authority on the matter of Job's life and on the matter of the universe. And then God allows Satan to do what he does. So I hope that made sense. But yeah, this is kind of what we're hoping for with this stream setup is just, a little bit of Q&R, a little bit of whatever you guys want to talk about. Just
I'm back.
hanging out, chilling. Josh is going to have to get up 37 times to let his dogs out.
Did you talk about the question that was in here?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
In semi-sports news, hang on.
Divine revelation, in
Yep.
short.
It'd just be divine inspiration there. And again, we have to take the literal nature of it with a little bit of a grain of salt, right? Just like this is not necessarily, as I said, right? The goal is to set up God as the supreme authority in all things, and so the conversation likely would not have been quite as back and forth like this. It would have been more, God asking Satan where he's come from. God already knows where Satan came from, right? It's not a hey, where did you come from? It's more of a I will beckon you, you will answer me because I am in control here. I am in authority. I am the one in charge. I am God. You are not. Right? So it's not it's not to have this casual back and forth between God and the devil. It's more about divine revelation. It's more about setting up God as the authority, and it's more about just the overall theme of theodicy.
That, and it's also wisdom literature.
True.
Not even just in the Pauline essence of Second Timothy, like even in the Jewish Tanakh, it is categorized in wisdom literature.
Yeah.
So its primary purpose is to draw the reader into contemplating the relationship of God, humanity, and chaos, which is a big part of God's second speech, of which many people understandably, I think, read God as being very sarcastic. I I'm not convinced that is the only way to read that. He definitely is hard on Job, but he's also not hard. He's hard on Job in the fact that Job did call him to question, but he's also not ignoring the fact that Job has suffered. Like he's not coming in to beat him down again. It's like, now you think you're better than me. Because God recognizes that Job remained still, even in questioning, did not leave God. He questioned God, but he didn't leave God. So God comes in with some hard love, but also still very genuine and compassionate love in many cases as well. In fact, he's almost like talks about the two great monsters, like he's impressed by them and like with some delight, while also recognizing the fact that he is one who has supreme authority over him. So he's like, relax, I have this in control.
Quick sidebar. I just love the line, "Can you put the hook through the jaw of Leviathan?" That's so metal.
Yeah.
Josh is scolding a dog.
She's teething a lot, and so she's ripping apart her bed, aka the bed they share in their crate, and two of her chew toys. I'm gonna have to lock the crate.
Oh well, I was gonna tell Josh that a former Steeler has just been arrested, but so who is like poisoning the water of the NFL? Like, I guess I'll just repeat it. Who is poisoning the water of the NFL? Like, what is happening?
What?
So, I don't know if I texted you about Marshawn Nealand or not.
No.
Okay, so Marshawn Nealand is a defensive end for the was a defensive end for the Cowboys.
The who?
Marshawn Nealand.
No. The who?
Oh, the Dallas Cowgirls.
There you go.
Given the solemnity of the story, I didn't feel it necessary to make fun of them.
Oh,
Um,
I don't know
he
the story.
he was in a prolonged engagement with police, which was like a car chase, and then I don't know if it was necessarily a shootout, but he ended up taking his own life in the midst of the police engagement. And it was like I was like, wow, that was really sudden and out of nowhere. And then your boy, your Steeler, Antonio Brown, was just extradited from
We don't claim him anymore.
Abu Dhabi on murder charges. So he
I don't
was
claim Antonio
indicted
Brown
by U.S.
anymore.
Marshals. Yeah, he was indicted by U.S. Marshals on murder charges. So the past 24 hours for the NFL and law enforcement have not been good.
My gosh.
Yeah, of course, man. We're very happy to. We're very happy to.
Just so our people on Twitch know what the heck we're saying and why.
Yeah.
I lost my train of
Raiders and
thought.
Broncos are playing right now.
Who's winning? Doesn't really matter. Oh, it does matter. Broncos better beat the Raiders.
Yeah.
It's just embarrassing if you lose to the Raiders at this point.
This is true.
All right.
Raiders are winning 7-0 at the moment, but Broncos have the football, although
Nice.
they are about to punt.
Oh, to
This
his
is in
earlier.
Denver too. Denver has no excuse to lose this game.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways,
To his Prem Kumar.
Prem Kumar. Yeah.
Prem Kumar. Or his earlier questions. We will be going not specifically into theodicy necessarily, but we will be going into the depths of chaos in approximately 3 weeks in regards to our Wednesday sessions. I mean, we have our Friday sessions our Monday podcast as well. That one's much more chill though in comparison, but we'll be getting into some of the depths a little bit of chaos and stuff. So it won't necessarily deal with specifically with the question of what's it called, children and what happens with them, but it will still be getting into the question of like spiritual forces, chaos, evil, and humanity in some capacity. So that'll be our Chaos Monster series in about This week's supposed to be the end of Image of God. Next week is you. That should take, I'm guessing, 1 week for yours, or are you playing 2 weeks for yours?
Probably just 1 week for mine.
Okay. Um.
Should probably
Then,
talk about Job 1 and that. Still working on the presentation for it, so.
well,
Or would you rather I didn't?
I say save that one.
Okay.
That one just can open a lot of can of worms.
Yeah.
And I know I'm not saying that to jump away from the can of worms, but I have a feeling that the other ones might open some worm cans. Not sure why I phrase it like that. Some other cans of
I
worms.
don't like that.
Uh,
it's the same thing, right?
I
Like,
know.
it's the same thing, but I didn't like the changing of the phrase.
I know. I didn't either. But we could. I think Job 1 will get addressed a little bit by the Chaos Monsters, and then we can
Yeah.
do some more. So I'm not saying back off my territory. I'm more of saying I think I'm more of saying
a stick.
we're already we're going to be brushing up on that a little bit.
Yeah.
So maybe just to keep a little variety and a less on your plate, because you're probably going to have to deal with a lot with the other one that you're already looking at in conversation.
Yeah.
Knowing
Well,
our
a lot of them are just quick fire, one to two slides, and then we're moving on. So.
Yes, but I also know our group, and I know that they might have things to.
Oh, India. Cool.
Nice. He and she's. I had to back off there for a second. Might have some questions of clarifications, like, or some other things. Knowing our group, all I'm saying, I know our group, and I know that they might respond with some further dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I haven't told you. I was checking our deeper analytics, and it's still small, but we have breached into Canada, Europe, and a little bit of Asia.
Cool.
I'm
Well,
not
yeah,
sure.
we have a friend from India here.
Hence, probably why.
Oh, it's early in the morning for y'all too. It's like 7 a.m. ish.
Well, hold on, where was that occult? Where was it? South Korea.
The cult was in South Korea. Yeah.
So it wouldn't be surprising if you're based in India. It wouldn't be surprising to me if there's some talk about it, because you're at least relatively more neighborous
Sure.
than we are.
I mean, it's not like a huge cult, right? It's just 100,000, which, that's good size, but it's not like it's Mormonism.
Right, but considering that there's some more occult, probably there's still occult stuff here, but there's probably more occult stuff towards the east.
Mm-hmm.
So it wouldn't surprise me if there's more awareness of what's going on. Just because of very different view of philosophy and spirituality and other things. You see anything else from the chat? I mean, I have other things we can talk about too, but I just want to make sure that there's anything else in the chat that we tend to that first. Let me check our Twitch. Nothing in Twitch.
I mean, my Eagles traded for Jalen Phillips. I'm pretty happy about that.
That's a good trade. Who
Yeah,
they
it is.
trade?
I mean, they gave up a third round for him, which, depending on the production that he has this season, I do think he'll slightly up his production. I think he's being overhyped a good amount. I feel like a third round pick was worth it. I might have given a second the more I've thought about it, but honestly, I'm content to just. I think a third round pick is a good trade because that can be a starting quality lineman. So. Or even a wide receiver too can be a third rounder. So.
I don't know when I plan on doing ever a project on this, but I finally bit the bullet and got Tom Holland's Dominion. It's thick.
That is a big boy.
Do you know about this book?
I do. Yes, that is the go-to for a lot of people defending the basis of Christianity for Western civilization.
Last copy at Barnes & Noble.
Okay, there you go.
I was not. So I went there, and so I was out. I had to buy some flex tape and a new sink washer for our because it has a leak in it. And then I was like, I'm gonna go to Barnes and Noble because a lot of my students they know I like Rubik's cubes and I've been doing them, and I bought a bunch of them so they could have them if they got their stuff done because it gives them something to do and not be
Sure.
disruptive. But then one was asking me
That's the real
about.
part.
Yeah, it really was. But a couple of them asked me if I ever solved the pyramid one, and there's two different kinds of pyramids that I'm aware of, and I've never solved either one. So I went out and bought this one so I could learn to solve this one, and I'm gonna find the other one online at some point. Um,
Josh literally solved it like 30 seconds before we started streaming.
I did. Um, so I get to the other one. The other one's arguably a bit harder. This one stays in pyramid shape. You just gotta know about the colors. The other one, it changes shapes. You have to get it back into pyramid, and it's annoying.
No,
It's disgusting.
no.
And then I'll get back into solving 4x4s and 5x5s because I have not learned a 5x5 and 4x4s I've not touched in a year. Anyways, but then I was like, I am reading so much stuff that I wanted to break and I wanted to change up my reading schedule so I wasn't cramming too much stuff, but also I had some variety to just kind of relax my brain. So I bought 3 new books of different kinds that I'm going to be reading.
We de-stress very differently.
It's not my way of de-stressing. It's my way of. It's my way of. My other ways of de-stressing are usually the gym, gaming, music, and just finding something else to do. But I find myself lately being on my. I argue it's research. It's not. Be on my phone more than I should be.
Yeah.
And so I'm just trying to find ways to get back into reading habit that also wasn't just Christian literature.
I've kind of been doing the same. I mentioned it on my Nefarious stream that
Dracula.
Yeah.
I almost bought that, but I didn't want to think I was copying you, so I put it back down.
I mean, once I'm done with it, you can have it.
Well, no, my plan is this. I'm my next Christian academic is because of my upcoming work is this one.
Yeah.
And so I have this one, and I have one more of my purchase list, and then I'm done. Besides, like reading final articles, I'll put in the notes I'm probably not even really going to use many articles. I think I'm just going to be sticking more just to tech stuff and only using them as like, hey, here's other cultural stuff. Like this one, first couple of chapters about India, and then it gets into like Babylon and some other places. So that'll be cool. So I'll be reading that. And then when I'm done with those, I'll get to read my other stuff for fun. I don't know if I'll know what I'm going to end up teaching on those things, but I'll be ready for that. And then so I picked up this one for chills, just for something different, something a little closer to history. I want to get back into reading some more history stuff. Rereading my Hebrew grammar books. I would do that.
Dude, don't remind me that I keep need to learn Greek.
I'm doing that once a week, though. I'm not going to do that every single night. I'm doing that once a week so I can focus on a concept. Then I'm reading a Christian philosophy book with my friend Timmy. No, we're reading we're reading a book about Protestantism and Catholicism because that's something that he's been having a lot of conversations with people lately. And he has a group where sometimes they intermix, and he's trying to find ways to help navigate away from any tension, so he can like represent each side more properly.
Yeah.
So we've been doing that and reading a philosophy book. I then found this, and I thought it was interesting. They had like an introduction to Egyptian myths, and next to it was India.
Interesting.
They had an India one next to it. So because we have now that I know we have people in India, I might even pick that up, and we can be a little more informed on some of that stuff. And then I decided I'm going to start reading some fiction again. That wasn't just comic books. And I was looking for classics. So I went into Barnes & Noble's classics section and decided I'm going to find the shortest one first because 1, less money, and 2, time. And I'm just work my way to longer books. And so first one up, The Great Gatsby, which I have not read.
Classic
Very much
indeed.
classic. And so
yeah, right now I'm in the middle of 2 books. I have Andrew Klavan's The Kingdom of Cain, which is about murder throughout history and how that has informed literature. It's been very interesting so far. He's talked about obviously Cain and Abel,
Sure.
And then I'm going to be moving into the section on Ed Gein, which
Nice.
I'm actually very fascinated by because Ed Gein pretty much inspired all of like 20th century horror.
Mm.
So I'm curious as to where that's going to go. But he also talked about Crime and Punishment as well, which I'm curious to. Well, he talked about it already a little bit, but I think I wanna look more into it. Truthfully, I've never read Crime and Punishment. I've always been curious to. Just never really had the
Right.
means or money.
Well, I'll say this. Josh, I'm not sure why I went to the third person. I'm going to stick with it, though. Josh here likes to read, likes to watch movies, likes to game. So for our chill streams, if you ever like, hey, Josh, you should, I might even say, hey, guys, what movie should I watch, or what genre of book should I read? Should I read nonfiction? Should I read fiction? Should I read philosophy, politics, history, science? There is no wrong answer except for immoral, disgusting things.
Yeah.
You need to stop licking my face right now. Um, oh, that might be like fun for me just to kind of see what people are interested in me checking out. It could, like if I finish this, I might say, hey guys, what should I read next? And you guys might say, hey, you should go read some philosophy or go read some science. And I'll be like, all right, any recommendations? Or should I just go randomly to the bookstore and just pick up the first one that looks interesting to me?
Yeah. And then the other thing, obviously, as we were talking about, Dracula. I will say, I've never been scared's not the right word. I've never been unsettled reading a book before, but Dracula's done it, and it's done it very well.
I almost
In
that was the one
particular-
it was that specific copy I almost bought too.
Yes, yeah. But in particular, the closing of chapter 4, where Jonathan's journal cuts off, was very good. Was genuinely like, I felt uneasy as I was reading it, but
Dang.
in a good way, right? Like it genuinely was like, oh, I don't like this, you know. So it was cool.
You know, my fiction plans are to either. I haven't decided my schedule with it yet. I'm not sure if it's gonna be like once a month or if it's going to be just as I finish it, and I haven't decided if it's gonna be alternating or if it's just gonna be. I'm still figuring it out, but my plan is to get back into reading some classic graphic novels and then some of the classics. So like Dracula's on my list. I want to reread Batman White Knight. Oh, loved that book. That was a great book. And I want to read the rest of the trilogy because I know the third one has Batman Beyond in it, which made my heart very happy. But I don't own it at the moment, so I got to get it at some point.
You ever read Frankenstein?
No, I've been meaning to.
Okay,
It's on my list.
I think I have a copy of that too. If you would like, I have read it. Very good. A little overrated in my opinion, but I think it's more of a writing style thing than anything.
Sure.
But I've been making it a point to go back through, firstly the classics of horror, but secondly,
those.
Yeah, because a lot of the horror that I've been reading is what I call Christian secular writing,
Okay.
which is it's written in a way that is meant to imply heavily the Christian God without actually stating him in the work.
Interesting.
Right? Not quite beating you over the head with it like Narnia does. But like
I should read that
Dracula, it's very apparent that Stoker is Catholic,
Mm-hmm.
and he does a little bit of Protestant bashing.
Of course.
But he does it in kind of a funny way, right? And at least in a way that makes me chuckle. Where when Jonathan arrives, he's uneasy, but he's holding very firm to this idea of Protestantism, and he kind of shuns the Catholic the Catholic peasants around him, and then he arrives at Castle Dracula, and the creepy stuff starts like day one, and immediately he
Nice.
runs to like crucifixes and icons, right? So it's like it's very much a reminder of, hey, don't forget, you can call us weird and bash us all you want, but don't forget where you came from,
Right.
which is a very bold thing to release in 19th century London.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, but and then for Frankenstein, it's more about, man going too far and trying to play God,
Mm.
and it's a condemnation of many 19th century philosophies, including eugenics. So I don't know. It's interesting to read it. I do think it's a little overrated, but it might just be a style thing for me. I'd still recommend it.
Yeah. I was torn. I was torn between doing Gatsby because it was the shortest one. I mean, I like reading long books. You saw some of the books I just had up here. But it was just time
Yeah.
is the issue. But I was torn between this, Frankenstein, Dracula, and then they actually had a bunch of um, other cultural mythologies. They had Norse mythology, Greek mythology,
Hmm.
Indian mythology, Native American uh, mythology, and I was like, this would just be kind of cool to read to see how people thought about the world and like and how they handled things, but then also like
Yeah.
actually debunking either them or debunking the lies the left says about them and trying to turn them into a good thing. It's like, no, did child sacrifice. That is
Yep.
not good. Let's
I
not
talked.
celebrate that.
I talked to a bunch of 10-year olds today about child sacrifice. So
Oh yeah,
that was interesting. Um,
yeah, no,
I run a Thursday night program at our church, and part of that is teaching the lesson. And I had molded my lesson for the older boys in the program. Or you divide the kids into older and younger groups. And so I had anticipated my lesson for the older kids. And then none of the older kids were able to make it today. So I ended up teaching the younger kids.
about child
And it was
sacrifice.
a very dark, very heavy lesson for 10-year-olds. But I think they
Yeah.
actually grasped it pretty well. So,
Yeah, I'm gonna have to decide after this one, and maybe you guys. I guess we're down to one right now. Maybe you guys or Caleb can decide my next fiction if it should be mythology, monsters, or something else in fiction.
yeah. But then the other thing I'd like to start getting into is I have the works of Edgar Allan Poe
Oh
that
yeah,
I've been meaning to. I love Edgar Allan Poe. He is my favorite poet.
I've
It's
been meaning
not
into
particularly
poetry.
close. I have his collection sitting on my shelf, and I'm like, dang, I really need to get back into reading that. In
Uh,
particular, my favorite of his is The Cask of Amontillado.
mm,
Love that. It's so good. It's so good.
I'll make a deal for the chat. That is one person right now. You guys, whenever I finish my fiction and any of my non-Christian readings, at the moment these two, you can decide for my more academic reading if it should be history, politics, whatever, etc. And for my fiction, if it should be a graphic novel or a novel, and if it's a novel, if it should be horror, like the monsters. I'm not looking to get into modern horror. I'm not down for that right
No,
now.
no, I
But
only
like
really want the classic stuff.
the classic horrors, mythology,
And
or
I'm
other
not going to
things.
read H.P. Lovecraft. I have no real desire there.
And then, yeah, no.
I'm interested in the universe that he built, but in terms of the human being that he was, I'm not really interested in any
Yeah.
of his ideas really.
Yeah. And then I need to get back into reading poetry. By back into, I mean, I actually need to read it again for once. Since the last time I read it was probably in school.
Yeah.
I think once in college and then a little bit in high school. But if I were to get back into it, I'd probably start with Poe just because it'd be fun.
Just the bleakest, most depressing and dark stuff you've ever read in your life. But
It's
hey, it rhymes.
yeah. Well, because there's also sometimes like a story behind it, and some like I would read other
Right.
poetry too, but there's usually a story behind it. Not that other poetry doesn't have a story behind it, but I'm not jumping to love poems right now. That's not
No.
no, not right now. I don't want to jump into that at the moment, unless I'm going to read them to my girlfriend, which I'm not sure she's going to be impressed by that or like aw from that kind of thing. What?
That it's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
What?
Reading love poems to your girlfriend.
I said I'm not going to do it unless I would, but I know that that's not something she's really into. The things a guy would do for a girl.
The things I do for love. You're a G if you get that reference.
Speaking of girlfriend, sent me Snapchat.
Aww, that's so cute.
I know. I should probably respond. Anyways, lost my train of thought. She distracted me. She always does.
I mean, that's kind of their job, you know.
I know. I know.
My wife always distracts me, and she knows that she does, and she knows that there's no stopping it either.
Uh, I just had the idea of you doing a live stream where you're playing Pokemon and how I'm not sure if that would be a good thing or a terrifying thing.
I mean, I'm certainly good enough at the game to where it would be kind of just me plowing through a portion of it.
Which one?
True. Although I could just do like online battles,
Yeah.
just like fire up Gen 9 randoms and go through that and sit there with chat, but I don't really think that's the direction we want to take this channel.
No, but
So,
that would be the chillest of chill streams.
true. True.
You would gather a whole bunch of Pokemon nerds with that one.
This is true, but again,
Maybe we'll make a second channel called Pokemon Jesus.
all right, folks, this has been fun. No. No, because you know what the problem is? Everybody would think I'm a Pidgeot.
That's
Which-
true.
Do you understand that reference?
A little bit.
Yeah, it's from Twitch Plays Pokemon. Bird Jesus, as he was called, was the Pidgeot that they used.
Yeah. Don't understand it a ton, but I understand a little bit of it.
Well, now that this has officially gone to places that I didn't think it would,
You mean Pokemon?
yeah.
Once we
Um,
uncover Caleb's more personal life, he runs away and hides.
I mean, I could talk more about Pokemon. There was a new DLC trailer that dropped today that I have not watched.
Are you gonna get the DLC or are you
but
gonna just stick with the game?
I already have it.
Oh, okay.
I bought a bundle with the game. I was like, I'm just gonna shell out the cash there and not think about it. But they are giving a Mega Evolution to Chimecho, which I thought was hilarious. And I saw the design for it. I haven't watched the trailer, but I saw a design. A buddy of mine sent it to me, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, I love him! It's fantastic."
I wasn't sure if you're gonna go the direction of I love it or if it's gonna go the direction of what was that one that you showed me? You were like, why did you evolve it this way?
I don't recall specifically, but
There's one you were like, yeah, it looks okay, right? And you showed me the evolution, like, what? Why? Or then you have like, what was it,
Abracadabra, Alakazam.
yeah, where
With
they
spoon.
it's just adding more spoons and
There
facial
are no
hair.
spoon. There is one spoon. There are two. Did you see? Have you seen Mega Alakazam before?
I don't think I have.
It's just 5 spoons.
Hold on.
It's just 5 spoons over his head in an arch. It's great. Just
Let's see. Um. Okay. Well, I mean, I found this. Oh, wait. Here we go. Here we go. Ish. Um. This bad boy.
yes. Wait, what? Okay. Apart from the monstrosity, that I like the T-posing character in the middle of them.
Oh, this one. Right.
No, the bottom right.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, just infinite T-pose.
There you look. No spoon. 1 spoon. 2 spoon. 5.
Vibes.
Why did
Well,
we? Oh, here we go.
hang
Why
on,
did we go from 1 to 2 to 5? Why happened to 3 and 4?
I mean, that's a great question. Why not 3 spoons, right? I mean, that feels like the natural progression. But hang on, I got a meme in relation to this subject.
Oh boy. I'm still loading. What? Wait. What?
Oh. I didn't know where that was going.
I had to get it pulled back up. What? That's
But-
never going away.
Can it, though?
No.
Okay, well, worth a shot.
Well, with that note, we probably should call it there for the
Yes.
night.
Alrighty, folks. Thank you all so much for watching. If you somehow made it this far, which I doubt it, but hey, if you did, good on you. We hope that you enjoyed this more interactive stream where we had a couple questions asked. We got to talk with you guys. It was great. We'd love to do more of that. We'd love to do some more chill, relaxed, laid-back streams like this where we can just answer questions, talk about stuff that we've been reading and learning and thinking about. And please, if you have any things that you would like to ask us, if you have any ideas, like our friend gave us one to look into the cult in South Korea, I'd be interested in doing research for that. If you guys have anything like that that you'd like for us to look into, we would be more than happy to. Please leave it in the comments below. And while you're down there, please don't leave that like button out in the cold. It's getting to be a very cold time of year, and you should invite it in for the holidays. Josh, you look concerned.
'Cause I was looking into the occult briefly, and they made their way into the USA.
Interesting. All right, so yeah, we'll look into that sort of stuff, you know. But thank you all very much for watching. We hope that you have at least enjoyed the stream if you haven't learned anything from it, but we hope that you did learn something from it. And with all that said, guys, we will see you in the next video as the Lord wills it.